Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the CSJ podcast, Musings of an INFJ. This is episode 10, I believe. And I'm your host, Jay. And today we're going to do a little bit of a continuation of last week, the last episode, episode 9, and talk about diversity, talk about inclusion. And but before we get into the specifics of that, as I was preparing for this video, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to structure it, and also I thought about how we learn life lessons, right? How we learn to live, and how we what are the principles that we live by, and what are proven principles, and how we learn. So, so first of all, the obvious, great people, past and present. So if you want to think, religious leaders obviously come to mind, or philosophers, right? So we can think of Socrates, Plato, Confucius. We can move into Jesus Christ, Buddha, Allah, so on and so forth. And there's so many more. I pick those just as examples, right? And then we have the texts. We have the Bible, we have the Quran, we have Confucian Analects, we have the Tao Te Ching, we have the Bhagavad Gita, we have so many ancient texts that teach us principles that guide us in our life today, guide our society. They're proven, and they remain in effect. I think that's why those people, those texts are still relevant to us today, even though they were first written centuries ago. In some cases, millennia ago, right? Anyway, so we learn from that. Those are the obvious. But for me, I think lessons are to be had in everyday life if we just look around. And I'm talking TV series, for example, or contemporary literature, or just the physical world around us. Take, for example, the buildings behind me. There's a lesson to be learned with those buildings, and to me, they are very representative of the topic today, diversity and inclusion. I mean, how much more diverse can you be than the architectural, historical appearance of these buildings? We can get into a lot with these two buildings, and we'll try to do some of that. But before we do that, so I want to go back to the concept of diversity and inclusion. It's really, we've got to have both. If you have just diversity, and a lot of what we hear around us in the workplace, in social circles, in the news, whatnot, politics, is diversity is important. Well, yeah, it's important, but you can have diversity without inclusion. You can have a group of people, very diverse backgrounds, diverse racially, diverse from a sexual orientation standpoint. Pick the characteristic of diversity. You can have it, but they can also be sitting around in a room, and if they all stick together in their own little cliques, or if one group dominates and runs the conversation and doesn't allow individuals from other groups to participate, well, what good is diversity, right? On the other hand, you can have inclusion without a diversity. Well, that's probably even worse. You include everybody, but you only include those of your own particular group, or race, or sexual orientation. Again, pick whatever defining characteristic you want that segregates us, right? And go from there. That's the easy one, including without diversity. So the key to successful integration, and I would offer beyond successful interaction, just beyond interaction, is a thriving and a thriving society that benefits everyone, or a thriving workplace. A truly successful workplace is one that is both diverse, but is also inclusive of all that diversity. And I mean all of it. And so, for example, if we're talking race, right? Yeah, there's a lot of animosity racially these days, unfortunately. But having a conversation about how to solve those issues and excluding one race and gathering a group of all other races, for example, the solution is not in the long run is not going to be workable. I don't believe. I don't think. It's everyone has a seat at the table. Everyone has a say, and in that way, comprehensive solutions can be developed. Now, yeah, is there some give and take? There has to be, right? There has to be give and take. There has to be the respect that we talked about in the last episode, not just tolerance. It has to be respect, and I think the respect is what drives the ability to be inclusive. And as that inclusion happens, then love has a chance to grow. All right. So I mentioned there are lessons to be learned all around us. There are metaphors for life all around us, and so, for example. And granted, well, I don't know, maybe it's a little cheesy, but nevertheless, it's there. You take it for what it is, right? So I'm thinking of Star Trek, the original series, and the episode, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, right? So we've got Captain Kirk, ESTP, by the way. Very much an ESTP, if you think about it. Always in control, always ready to jump in any crisis to resolve it, regardless of the risks. Very pragmatic. How many times has he gone against the prime directive in order to accomplish what he thought needed to be done to resolve a situation? And then once it's resolved, then he's off to the next one, right? He's not going to hang around and manage the situation. He's going to set it right and then go. ESTP. Oh, by the way, yeah, all the women. One woman to the next, It's interesting about Star Trek, the original series. I guess all of them, for that matter. I mean, Gene Roddenberry tried to be very address what he thought were problems or hypocrisies in society. So it's interesting that in doing so, he's a bit of a hypocrite himself, or maybe he just didn't realize. So in this episode, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, you've got two humanoids, Loci and Beale. And if you're well, if you're old enough, you may remember. If you're not, it might be worthwhile going back. It's an interesting episode, because throughout the episode, you've got Beale chasing Loci, and these two are from the same planet, and they have, but their physical appearance is their bodies are half a line right down the middle, right? Half black and half white. And when I say black and white, I mean, black as in the color, and white as in, I mean, the contrast is, well, it's intentional. It's meant to make the point. And so, but Beale is chasing Loci, and every time they come together, they fight. Beale's trying to capture Loci, take him back to their homeworld, and have him, pay for his crimes, whatever they may be. I can't remember. It's not the point. And so, I don't know, maybe 3/4 the way through the episode, Kirk finally, confronts the two of them and says, "Why are you fighting each other? You're two of a kind." And they looked at him and said, "Don't you see it? I'm black on the left side, he's black on the right side. That's the difference." And I mean, it's really powerful, because we find things to fight about. They're really insignificant. But it's that centrism that we talked about in that last episode. We want to be around people who are just like us, and exclude the rest. We think there's something special about ourselves and not others. We're better than them. We're smarter than them. We're I don't know, pick whatever. We don't trust them. That kind of attitude, and that's what's so damaging, and it happens for reasons that are petty, frankly. Anyway, so diversity and inclusion, finding a way to grow together as a society. I mean, we here in the United States are a very diverse country, and that diversity can drive violence, and it's unfortunate, because there's so much to be gained. Anyway, so back to the buildings behind me. These are again, it's I don't know, maybe it's me, but I see lessons to be learned all around, and there's a lesson here. These two buildings are quite different. Obviously, the one right here is a steel fabrication plant, or what's the shell of what used to be a steel fabrication plant from 100 years ago. It's still standing. This over here, these are brand new condominiums, very modern, and obviously their exteriors are very different. One would think, I mean, if you think about it, you could almost look at these two buildings and type them, right? We talk about typing people and our children, and we talk about even typing pets. Well, can you type buildings? Maybe in a way, what you're doing is you're typing indirectly, maybe typing the architects behind them, or the, I don't know. It's interesting, I think, to just think about. But if you think about these, and by the way, this is not just graffiti, okay? So let's talk about that. Appearances are not what they seem. I mean, that's the first thing we see, and we immediately want to make judgments. We use heuristics and come to some conclusions immediately just by appearance, and we shortchange ourselves. It's not fair. It's prejudice, right? But so this building here actually is a major attraction here in town. People come here to have themselves photographed for their engagement announcements, birthdays, graduation. It's on the weeknights. It's the weekend nights. It's people come here on their motorcycles or in their Mustangs and Chargers and Challengers and Camaros and hang out. I mean, it gathers people. And this is not just graffiti. There were artists around town, I guess folk artists, but a number of artists came together and were each given a section of this building. You can see other sides of it here. To express themselves or express their thoughts, and because of that, it's an amalgamation of an amalgamation. It's a view into a microcosm of society, perhaps you could say that. It looks like a mess to just the average passerby. It looks like graffiti. I don't mean a mess. It looks like graffiti. It's not. A lot of thought, a lot of care went into all those images. This building over here, the condos, they're beautiful on the outside. At least I think so. It's my aesthetic for architecture. But on the inside, whereas this on the inside really is love, this on the other side, even though on the outside it looks like it's beautiful, it's a mess, frankly. I mean, personal opinion, granted, but the floor plans, the interior layouts, they're terrible. They're chopped up, they're small, they don't make any sense. Point is, beauty is only skin deep, and if we prejudge, we're missing out. We're missing out on the love that this may represent, and miss out that this one is not all that it seems either. Has some imperfections. I don't know. Maybe a bit long-winded on my part, but that's how I look at things. I see it everywhere, and I like to share those observations. Anyway, point is, again, diversity, inclusion, you got to have both. And it's when you have both that we're going to be, as a society, as a company, as a family, much better off. Does not mean that there won't be some conflict or some challenges, but with respect and appreciation of where other people are coming from, their backgrounds, their point of view, taking the time to listen to them, we can come together and be stronger together. It's my opinion. And the same holds true as we've been hearing. I mean, this entire lecture, was not really intentional, but it's tended to focus more on the obvious things of, race and sexual orientation or whatever, those kinds of things that we think about when we think about diversity. But it also applies, maybe even more so, to the 16 personality types. I was just up this morning looking at some questions that have been posed to me about which is the best type for a woman, or what type is the best teacher, or what type makes the best athlete, those kinds of things. It's always, everybody's got questions about who's the best, who's the most special, it really gets tiring, frankly, because people are missing the point. it's they continue to look at themselves as the center of the world, the center of the universe, and project themselves onto everybody else. But the reality is that all 16 types, if they weren't necessary, they would have been edited out of evolution long ago. They're all necessary, and because they all have strengths and they all have weaknesses, and because of that, we rely on each other. It's what makes us social creatures, and why we need each other. No man is an island, all that. So yeah, diversity and inclusion, diversity of the 16 types. We need to include all 16 types in our society and give each type the respect and honor the place that each, honor the role that each has within our society. I don't know, that's this INFJ's look at things. I think it's important. Anyway, let's close down this episode. We've got more coming in some future episodes, and looking forward to those, and appreciate everyone's comments. Check us out, csjoseph.life. Maybe try some coaching. At least do some type verification. We'd love to do that. Help you determine your type, figure out where you fit in with all this diversity and what you can contribute, and maybe how to navigate some of the challenges you have. Anyway, thanks everyone. Till next time. Bye.
What's up, Ego Hackers? Thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button below. That would be the dopest. Also, if you want to see similar videos to this video, just click on any of the videos that you see here so you can go check those out as well. And if you have not taken our personality test to find out your type, please do so at csjoseph.life/discover.